If you have ever walked out of a cinema because the film was so bad, what one was it? Oh, I remember vividly. It was Battlefield Earth. The shot angles kept being tilted this way and that way for no reason, and I started tilting my head so that things would be level. Then my friend joined in. Then we simultaneously were like, are we going to cramp our necks for this? And walked out. As Roger Ebert put it, the director, Roger Christian, has learned from better films that directors sometimes tilt their cameras, but he has not learned why. One of my absolute favorite lines of his. I've only ever walked out of one movie, and that was The Last Airbender, directed by M. Night Shyamalan. As a fan of the original animated series, I was excited to see a live-action adaptation, but the movie was a huge disappointment. The acting was wooden, the script was clunky, and the special effects were underwhelming. I made it about halfway through the movie before I decided that my time was better spent doing something else. It's rare for me to walk out of a movie, but The Last Airbender was just that bad. It was so weird that Firebender actually needed fire in the room to bend. Still stronger than 6 fucking earthbenders. I guess this technically counts, but when I went to see Deadpool 2, the cinema accidentally put the wrong film on and played some Amy Schumer film instead. Everyone in the screen thought it was some meta Deadpool joke and out of nowhere he'd appear and shoot Amy Schumer, so we were all waiting on that. After about 10 minutes of the film, the staff came into the screen and explained that they had put the wrong film on and couldn't undo it because of their tight schedule, etc., but we would all get a refund and were welcome to stay and watch the rest of the Amy Schumer film. Everyone left. That last sentence had me busting out laughing. I left Frozen when I was 11 because I was scared. LMAO. The horror movie Frozen or the Disney movie? Do you want to ride a chairlift? I've never walked out of a movie, and I saw Cats opening weekend. I walked out on it, but then decided I wanted to be back inside. They let me back in, but then I walked out again. Then I stood outside the closed doors and yowled. They opened the doors and I walked away. Epic movie. Wasn't epic at all. Oh, that film is dogshit. Those are very kind words to describe that thing. Avatar: The Last Airbender. Once we got to the montages that were all of season 1, they didn't think were worth it. It was clear this wasn't the show I loved. The only good thing that this film brought were the comments roasting it. I watched this on a plane and walked out. Quote. Downsizing: man, did this movie have a great premise as a potential funny comedy. But out of nowhere it turned into some weird political love story. I remember in the middle of this movie audibly saying out loud, where the fuck is this story going? I don't know how you screw this up, but they did. Legitimately one of the worst movies I've ever seen, like offensively so. I stayed for the whole damn thing because I kept hoping it would redeem itself somehow, and by the time it ended I was the most furiously angry I think I've ever been after sitting in a nice comfy theater with popcorn. I've not, but when I saw in Bruges, an elderly couple walked out after 20 minutes and I heard the man muttering that this wasn't a film about Belgium at all. It really tickled me. Jack and Jill with Adam Sandler. Normally I like his movies, but not only was Jack and Jill his worst movie ever, I think it might be the worst movie I've ever seen in my life. Hilariously, one time on Survivor they made the reward from a reward challenge getting to see an early screening of Jack and Jill. Reactions varied wildly, and all I could think about was how they were torturing these poor starving people by foisting this Sandler steaming pile of shit on them. And of course Coach loved it. Green Lantern. Even Ryan Reynolds acknowledges how bad it is. He landed his wife, though. It was the price we had to pay for their love. I too would star in Green Lantern for Blake. Never walked out of a movie. The closest I came to walking out was Mortal Kombat: Annihilation. Man, what a steaming shit pile of a movie. I didn't walk out though. But someone else did. He stood up halfway through the movie, yelled out, "This movie fucking sucks." Then farted loudly, and left. That man is a king today. A legend that my friends today still remember fondly. It was the fart that cemented his legend. Striptease: Burt Reynolds in boxer shorts, a cowboy hat and boots, covered in Vaseline, rubbing himself with dryer lint from Demi Moore's laundry. I do not know how that movie ends, just know that I asked for my money back on a $1 noon matinee. The book is really good though. Emoji Movie. Took my brothers to see it while I was babysitting. Almost committed suicide in the theater. This was showing on a flight I was on and people still walked out. Or perhaps they were wondering why someone would shoot a man before throwing him out of a plane. Pacific Rim Uprising. Worst sequel ever made. It felt like it was made by a toy company to sell merch. I almost walked out on Jurassic World Dominion, but my friend bought a ticket for me and was super excited about it, so I stayed just for him. I am a huge dinosaur nerd. I love Jurassic Park and am generally happy to see anything featuring dinosaurs. It doesn't happen often, so I'm not picky, just give me my big lizards, thank you. But Dominion was on a whole new level of bad, just why? Jupiter Ascending. You know it was horrible when I didn't want to see more Mila Kunis. I saw this once when I was ill about 4 years ago, and I always throw the quote of, "Did you know bees are attracted to royalty?" every time me and my boyfriend see a bee. One man's walkout, another man's bee movie. I went to see the Total Recall remake with my then GF. We walked out about 40 minutes in. We were also the only people in there. Without getting one's ass to Moz, what's the point? Only movie I've ever walked out of was The Golden Compass. Movie executive. Okay, so it's polar bears in motherfucking battle armor. Boom, there's your movie. Suicide Squad 2016. The movie had really bad pacing and bland action. About halfway through we were so bored we got up and left. It was one of those movies where you're not really given much reason to care how it ends. Still stands as the only one I've ever walked on. Test screenings don't like the movie but they love the trailer, so let's just hire the trailer company to recut the entire movie. Who could have predicted that such a genius move like that could ever backfire? To be fair, that trailer was so promising. So much so that the execs were like, fuck, we should have made that movie. I was about 6 when it came out. Baby geniuses. Raised by grandparents, and we were on vacation in Arizona. We didn't necessarily walk out, but my grandfather fell asleep during the movie in the very small theater and started snoring so loudly that it caused people to leave. In the end, he saved them from an awful movie. I just distinctly remember him sitting there snoring, and my grandmother and I moving seats and laughing about the situation. The Love Guru. Walked out to see The Happening for the 3rd time instead, LMAO. Wonder Woman 1984. I streamed it but I left the house, does that count, lol? The 3rd Transformers movie is the only movie I've ever walked out during.